恭请大德圣听，为此法会，及一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，殊证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to lead suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize numbers.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
The enlightened one,
the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi samyao sanputtoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye arahadi samyao sanputtoshe.
Okay, let's do it together. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa, 百千万劫难遭遇，我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Good. Together. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in a million eons.
But now we see and hear it.
And accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Well done. 师父上人，各位师兄大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master and Dharma friends, welcome. Let's see here. If I do that, what would happen? Hi, sorry about that. I said, ha ha, what happens if I click here? And the answer was, it'll go away. Oh, man. Okay, so let's make this a lot bigger. And there we are. How is that working? Is that good for everybody? You have a slow connection. Okay. Do you want to stop sharing the webcam? No, I don't. Okay. Jerry, can you make me presenter again? Let's see here. Window. Exit full screen. There we go. Okay. Now. Can you all see the right screen? It doesn't look like it, right? go to meeting, we'll share this screen. I would like everybody to be able, there we go. Okay, are we good? You can see that? Yes.
Yes, now.
Is that working, Jerry?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, good stuff. All right. Well, good evening, everybody in Berkeley, California, and those of you joining via YouTube around the world. This is Reverend Heng Sure. I'm here in the Gold Coast, southeastern Queensland of Australia, and it's hot today. We're expected to get up to 90 degrees, and that was after a week of rain and coolness. So somehow we're back to hot weather again for a week. I understand that spring has come to Berkeley, and I hope you're all enjoying some balmy spring California weather. We've got a heat wave here in Queensland. So, however, that should not obstruct our investigation of the Flower Garland Sutra. So before we begin, let's do some chanting. Let me take us up to the top. There we go. And we'll blow that up nice and big. There we go. Now, we're going to invoke spiritual presence. So if you would put your palms together and join me in chanting the name of the Avatamsaka Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Namo Tafang Guang Fo Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Tafang Guang Fo Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Tafang Guang Fo Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Tafang Guang Fo Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Tafang Guang Fo Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Tafang Guang Fo Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. All right. We're going to go back to the last page. On our screen, I'm on page 30. Those of you who have a printed copy, I assume that will be the same page. And we're going to look at the paragraph that begins, empty space, body, phrase, okay. We'll start here at the top and finish this page. This is our last prepared page. So this week, I will be translating our next section because we are actually, we translate as we go. There is a provisional translation prepared, but it's not complete, and it was done back in the 80s. So we're having it's an opportunity to take another look at it and improving our translation. So that's what we're about. And I'm glad I turned my phone off because a phone call is coming in. Wouldn't that be embarrassing if the monk's phone rang while he was explaining the sutra? So I hope all of you have done the very same thing and turned off your phone. Okay, good indeed. So let's take a look. Let's do this section, start right here. Are we ready? Here we go, palms together, please. 知虚空山不亮相， 周遍相、无形相、无义相、无边相、显现色身相. Here it is. This passage right here. Ready together? He knows the immeasurable attributes of the empty space body, its pervasive attributes, its shapeless attributes, its non-differing attributes, boundless attributes, and its attributes that are revealed in form bodies. Okay, we're talking about a bodhisattva, and this bodhisattva is exploring, this chapter is exploring what he knows, what she knows. This bodhisattva's got a new state. He's graduated to a new class, you could say. He's gone up from junior year in high school to senior year in high school, so to speak. And with that promotion comes more knowledge. And the sutra is running through what, if you are at this stage, what you know. Let's unpack it. This is kind of code language. Let's see what it says. He knows attributes. 1, attributes. 2, attributes. 3, 4, attributes. 5, attributes. 6. He knows 6 kinds of attributes. And this followed a long discussion above last week, the week before, and the week before. Malaysian friends who grew up in Australia, and Indonesian, Chinese friends, Singaporean, Hong Kong, mostly Asian. The occasional white Caucasian Aussie shows up. But and so I'm used to, on Saturday nights, that lecture carrying most of the weight, because why? If I say, who has a question? Or what do you think about this? Or I'm thinking of talking about this later. What do you all think? People are, you know, mostly supportive. And if they have a different opinion, they don't say it. They don't raise their hand and say, no, that's not going to work. No, I disagree. Would never in a million years would they say that. You know, even if you're best friends, in a public space, there's a certain way you're supposed to behave. Because why? You're in that body. That's the Shen Xiang. And so I know that now, and I adjust. I don't try to change it. I'm not assuming that a Chinese Buddhist nun who grew up in Taiwan or grew up in Malaysia is going to respond like the people on Sunday morning. So what's Sunday morning? Sunday morning, we just had it. It's now almost 2 o'clock here in Australia. We have our meditation class at 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's about 90% Aussies, and they come from everywhere. It's not that Aussies are a race, but it's people who are exposed to Western modes. And I had to shut people down today because we had a political argument arising. It was my fault. I mentioned something about, here's what was going on. I was trying to describe the mind. I was reaching for an illustration of the mind, because what was I talking about? I was saying Buddhism doesn't have a supreme being. In Buddhism, we don't have a creator deity who made heaven and earth and people in between. We don't have that figure, kind of the daddy, father figure. We have the Buddha, and he's more like a coach than he is a creator. Okay, so if we don't have that God in the middle, what do we have, is the question. What replaces God? For the, might say, 90% of the world's religions that are theistic, that have a God in the middle and are built around a God. What does Buddhism have that's different? And the answer is we have the mind, right? We say, 一切为心造. The mind creates everything. And so I was reaching for an example of that, and I stopped. I took the low-hanging fruit, and I should have come up with a better example, because I said, for example, you know, America used to be governed by democratic norms. We used to try to aspire to democratic values, one person, one vote. That was all it took. And the Aussies in the room, no, what are you talking about that? You know, that's not the way, it's just a surface. We always, you know, but in fact, it wasn't, you know. And then, no, but you can't. And then across the room, I said, stop. We're not going to do that today. I'm not going to ruin, it was my fault. I should have opened that door. But the point that I'm making is, if you know the attributes of different bodies, you know how to teach better. So, not a good idea to try to stir up an audience raised in a Chinese standard or a Vietnamese standard, where in public you represent more than yourself. If you are there, you don't dare speak wrongly if, for example, your older brother is there or your parents are there. If you're a wife, you don't speak out over your husband, if et cetera, et cetera. If your teacher's in the room, nobody dares speak over their teacher because you represent a community. It's clan-based, surname-based. You could say the whole Wang clan can be ashamed if you speak badly, right? Or the Chun clan or the Lin clan. So you wait for the person who is authorized to speak in public. It's not that Chinese audiences are not thinking a mile a minute. Of course, they have many opinions as anybody, but there's a way to behave in public. And in the West, I want you to know what I think. I have an opinion. Listen to me now. My turn. You know, call on me. You represent you. And if you're young, it doesn't matter. The younger, the better. So it's a very different approach of how to be in public. So there's my example of a bodhisattva's knowing immeasurable attributes of various bodies. What is it? It says the empty space body. That's the Shu Kong Shan. Okay, that's hard to illustrate for everybody. Why? Because this is a body that is available only to advanced spiritual practitioners whose samadhi has allowed them, since the seventh ground, the juncture between the seventh and the eighth ground, to produce Huashan, transformed bodies, or Yingshan, response bodies. This is a unique ability, okay? And it's enough for us to point to it and say, take note, recognize this, because why? Someday in your practice, you will be at this stage, and the Avatamsaka Sutra will be there to guide you. So if we know that these words are here, that these guidelines are here, then we can learn that and move forward. Pervasive attributes, things that are true for a whole class of bodies. Shapeless attitudes, that's wuxing. So shapeless attributes, qualities of bodies that are not visible to the eye, but are there nonetheless. Like, for example, what would it be? Mass, or velocity, or vibratory rate, right? Suppose it's a body that's made up of infrared. You don't see it with your eye, but it's there. Ultraviolet, it's definitely there. Light bodies, you could assume they're shapeless but real. It's non-differing attributes, shared equally. It's boundless attributes, something that cannot be stopped or measured. And attributes, finally, revealed in form bodies that actually take form and shape. You can see them. This bodhisattva knows them all. Okay, so far so good. Even if we don't immediately click on what that's about, let's move forward. Take a look here. We're going to be looking at this word over and over. 自在, 自在. We'll get to it in a minute. I've written it down in our notes. Let me read this now with everybody. If you want to join me, here we go. 佛子菩萨成就如是. Wait, sorry. There. 菩萨成就如是身智已得名自在心自在财自在业自在生自在愿自在解 自在，如意自在，知自在，法自在。Continue on down here. 得此实自在故，则为不思议智者，无量智者，广大智者，无能坏智者。Okay, moving over here. Here we go. Ready? Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva has accomplished wisdom like that concerning bodies, he obtains sovereignty over his lifespans, sovereignty over his thoughts, sovereignty over material wealth, sovereignty over his karma, sovereignty over his rebirths, sovereignty over his vows, sovereignty over his understandings, sovereignty over his wish fulfillment, sovereignty over wisdom, and sovereignty over Dharma. Because he obtains these 10 kinds of sovereignties, he becomes someone with inconceivable wisdom, someone with limitless wisdom, someone with vast great wisdom, and someone with indestructible wisdom. Okay. Okay. So let me put that right there so we can see. If I squeeze this, hold on. No, it just gets smaller. Okay, there we go. Okay, now, what are we doing? We're looking at wisdom. This is a bodhisattva's wisdom of the 8th stage, and he's now got it. We're at the part of our chapter that's like what's important to say has been said, and now it's starting to review. It says, okay, we've learned about a new state of being, wisdom. This bodhisattva is wiser than any of the other bodhisattvas from grounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he's actually through the gate called irreversible. This bodhisattva is 不退转力, right? So he has 无生法忍, patience when dharmas no longer arise. And from now on, he's more like the Buddha than not like the Buddha. He's very close, she is very close to being a Buddha at this point in terms of function. Not the same as a Buddha, but very close. Not far to go at all. And so the word is wisdom now. And what we've been talking about is wisdom concerning bodies. And what about bodies? We haven't actually talked about this. Because bodies are so important to us, we pay a lot of attention to the appearance of our bodies. Just go to the local drugstore, walk down the aisles and look at the things you can buy to change your hair color, things you can buy to whiten your teeth, things you can buy to color your nails, etc. We pay a lot of attention to what we see in the mirror, don't we? And that's a body. But if you step back just a minute and think about it, what's important about bodies? One is they die. Bodies quit, right? Bodies break apart. Another one, bodies get hungry. Oh my goodness. All the evil, harm done in the world to get rid of hunger. All the killing done to get rid of hunger. Oh my goodness. So that's a problem, and that's a body. That's a body problem. That's a physical problem. Bodies get sick. And even though you have a body, you're miserable. When we come to Buddhism, there are all kinds of stories, all kinds of instructions about beings who have trouble with their bodies. For example, beings what are called in the San E Dao, the 3 evil destinies, 3 paths of suffering. So the animals and the ghosts and the beings in the hells, their bodies are really unsatisfactory. And yet here we are as humans, and we've got these nice bodies, and in folklore, there's all kinds of stories about gods coming down and hanging around with humans because humans can feel and gods are beyond feeling, and the gods miss the feeling. So what about the gods? When you're not a hell being, you're not a ghost, you're not an animal, you're no longer a human, but you got a different kind of body. What kind of body? You got a deva body. And the Avatamsaka Sutra is really, really clear about all the advantages of the various bodies that you have in the various levels of the heavens. And the deal is, what's important is blessings. And if you've got blessings, you ascend and you get a better body. For example, they say that if you're in the desire realm heavens, you can be in the heaven with Lord Chakra Devanam Indra, which is a really, really blessed place to be. They say that food comes to you when you think of it just the way you like it. Clothes come to you and cover your body just the way you want them. If you don't like them, you switch them. With your thoughts, the clothes come. If you want to travel, you can travel Zoom on a wheel. They say it's a heavenly wheel, and it takes you like a helicopter out into the air and wherever you want to go. So lots of ease and comfort. However, devas in the realm of the heaven, we're talking about the Triyastrimsha, the heaven of the 33, they still die. They can lose their bodies because their blessings run out. Furthermore, in that heaven, you can go to war. You can be a soldier. Imagine celestial warfare. If anybody is curious about this and wants to read up on it, look at the Heng Sure chapter of the Flower Garden Sutra. We translated it as worthy leader, but I don't have the number of it right here, but it's the Heng Sure Pi. So check that out and you'll read about what it's like to have the body of a deva in the second of the desire heavens. So let's say we keep on cultivating, we keep on getting blessings, and we go up. Oh boy, now we're in the form realm, the realm of the Brahma gods. And the bodies that we have there are incredible. They are in dhyana all the time. They're always feeling joy and bliss. So if you can imagine the most pleasurable physical sensation you've ever had, and imagine that never going away, and that's your constant state. That if you have the body of a Brahma god, that's what it's like. You're in the dhyanas, the first dhyana, second dhyana, third and fourth dhyana. Still a body. It doesn't breathe and the heart doesn't beat when you're in dhyana, but it lives a very long time. It's a different kind of body. This is interesting. I just thought of a good example. Here we go. We're gonna move on to Zai in a minute, but I want to explain this. This is a good for the computer age, for everybody who's a digital person. When you started with your first computer, remember when it was? For me, it was real floppy disks. Those 3.5-inch floppies that were floppy, they were made of film, and they had, what do they hold? They held a megabyte or 5 megabytes or something like that. And one of them, my earliest, an early Macintosh, you had to put a floppy in for the operating system before it would run, and then a floppy for a program. So it was WordStar was on the second floppy. And so anyway, then came internal hard drives. Oh my goodness. And you didn't need any floppy anymore. And then and the programs were on these 3.5-inch floppy disks. They weren't floppy anymore, they were hard, but you still had to insert it. And if you bought software, it came in a stack of those floppy disks. I remember I had Aldous PageMaker, and it was like 5 floppy disks or 6. And I put them in number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And then, from then came, Apple is doing away with the floppy disk drive entirely. Move to CDs. Oh, CDs are the thing. And the operating system in the computer was so much more sophisticated. It was a platter. It was a hard drive and spun inside. And the tolerances were so just like this. Kind of like, think of if you're old enough, you remember a 33 1/3 RPM. I'm using media to describe media. All of it old and obsolete. So when you put the needle down on a record, remember 33 1/3 record going around, or a 45, and the needle had to hit the groove before you get the sound. In a hard drive in a computer, the reading head tolerance had to be just right, and then you get the signal. Okay, so the idea of a hard drive, a spinning platter, stayed with us for a long time. And recently, I upgraded my external hard drive from a disk drive to a solid state, an SSD drive. And it's this big, and you can drop kick it across the room and it won't break. It's just this big, and it holds all the contents of my internal IMAX drive. So instead of having this fragile spinning platter that gets hot, it spins up to speed. If you drop it the slightest, it gets out of alignment. You can lose all your data. Now I have this thing I can stick into my pocket, and it's unbreakable. You can't destroy it with heat. It doesn't move. It's solid state. It's only electrical currents, microcircuits. And it's a different body than the hard drive disk was for so many years, which was preceded by the hard floppy disks, which was preceded by the flexible soft floppy disks, which was preceded by no computing at all, right? I guess, no, data cards. Anybody remember IBM data cards, data punch? And if you were trained to be a Wang, that's the American way of pronouncing Wang. But the early word processor was a Wang, and they called it a Wang. And my sister, Liz, was trained to operate a Wang data processing machine. So all these bodies have come forward, and I'm sure, judging by past experience, there will be a day when we look at the solid state drive that is this big, I put it in my pocket, that will be considered so crude, because mine is a terabyte, and it's, it's not cheap. Pretty soon, it's going to be insertable. You're going to insert it probably in your elbow, right there, out of the way, and you just have to swipe your thumb to pay for things, and you check with your eyeball to see, what the readout is. It's going to be bio-digital soon, biochips. Okay, so in other words, as we progress from our human body in cultivation into the heavens, we go up a realm from the desire realm bodies, which still die, which are under the control of Mara, to the form realm bodies, which are beyond desire, which are always in samadhi. That's like going from a spinning platter to a solid state disk, so to speak. Okay, that may be a crude analogy, but you can visualize it. Then you get to the formless realm, and there are 4 levels of the formless realm. And those gods there don't have a body at all. They have consciousness. They're still devas. It's still the Tianren, right? It's the realm above humans in the 6 Dharma realms. But what about it? They don't have any bodies. They have consciousness. They're completely alive. You're a deva in the formless realm, but there's no attributes that you can visually see. How about that? Interesting. Then what happens next? Beyond the heavens, they say you get to arhatship. You li san jie. You go beyond the 3 realms of desire, form, and formless. The next step up is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th stage arhat, and you have ended birth and death at that point. But think about it, how bodies are so important. We are, we look, I see I got a pimple on my nose. Oh, I better cover that up because I don't want to go out and be embarrassed by, a blemish in my skin. So we pay a lot of attention to the slightest imperfection in the mirror. And yet the Avatamsaka Sutra is saying bodhisattvas can recognize bodies that are invisible and real. Shapeless bodies, bodies of empty space. It's still a body, it's still a being. And this bodhisattva knows how to teach it to end suffering. Pretty amazing. Avatamsaka Sutra goes on and on. This is a textbook beyond imagination. All right, here we go. When the bodhisattva accomplishes wisdom like that over bodies, what's next? He gets 10 kinds of zizai. Lifespan. He can live, he can die as he chooses. Thoughts. His mind does not push him around anymore. Material wealth. He is as wealthy or as poor as he needs to be. Karma. He's in charge of his body, his mouth, and his mind. His rebirths. He can choose in what path he wants to appear. His vows guide him like a GPS. We used to say a compass, not anymore. His vows guide him like a GPS, guides him to a new town. He knows exactly where he's going. His understandings, nothing evades his knowledge. His wish fulfillment, ru'i, anything he wants to make happen is unobstructed. His wisdom just goes and goes and goes and goes. And Dharma, this is probably the most important one. This bodhisattva can draw on the Buddha's bottomless ocean of Dharma knowledge, because now it's his. He's got this knowledge. And what about it? It is all zizai, de zizai. Okay, remember how it went here? Take a look. It was Ming zizai, lifespan. Xin zizai, thoughts. Cai zizai, wealth. He gets this kind of zizai. What is zizai? Tough one to translate. Let's work on this a minute. Here's the Chinese characters right here. Zizai, right? Okay. Zi, zai, fourth tone. This is self. This is at or present. So when your self, the true self, is where you are, zizai. We translate it as effortless self-mastery. Effortless self-mastery. That's zizai. Now, Master Hua, Shifu, wanted us to pay attention to this word. We used to translate it as freedom. Sometimes we said free and easy, but neither one of those work for English because freedom is a misunderstood word in English. Freedom is, land of the free and the home of the brave. Freedom of worship, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. It gets political. This word has a lot of baggage in it. Free and easy sounds kind of hippie, sounds kind of stoner, free and easy. Like it's all groovy, man. Cool, dude. That's not it either. Free and easy is not a good translation. At one point, Master Hua gave us comfortable. Jerry, is that a comment? Somebody saying something?
Yes. Are you sharing screen? We only see your background.
Am I sharing my screen?
Are you sharing sutra text?
Oh, you can't see it? Yeah. Yes, I am. Can you not see it?
No, we only see the background, desktop background.
You only see the bird. Okay. Now, last time I touched this, it shut down on me. Just a window. I want Nicest Writer Pro to show up. Can you see that now? How about that? Does that work? Is it that one?
法师, we only
No.
see the sutra text.
Yes.
Yeah, we only see the sutra text. We don't see the
You
document.
only see the sutra.
Yeah, the document is not on the screen.
Oh, I don't see the document. Okay, gee whiz. It says to me, showing the document. That's what I'm getting. So we're going to go back then to my screen. Let's see. Okay, how about now, Alan? What it says to me is you can see
Yes.
the document and...
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, Alan, while I got you on, if I slide it down, can you see me and Berkeley? Can you see BBM on the screen?
First, no matter how you move your document, we can see webcams. So the position of your document doesn't affect.
You can or cannot?
We can.
You can see it, okay.
Yeah. So
I can't see what you can see. It's interesting. I don't know what's up. Okay, good. Keep me honest here. Give me the feedback. Okay. So, what is zizai? Is the question. Master Hua would say, 逍遥自在. He would say, just somebody in samadhi, when you can 入定, right? If you can meditate to the point of samadhi, you are 逍遥自在. And then he would say, if you want to fly out over the Golden Gate Bridge to check on the whales on the Farallones, you can do that. If you want to fly back over Berkeley and see what's going on in the classroom, you can do that. He said, if you want to die on the spot, if you choose to for any reason, you can do that. If you want to live forever and never die, you can do that because you are 逍遥自在, he would say. So effortless self-mastery is what we come up with. And the reason why I like that translation is master of yourself. And it's effortless. We're already with the Bodhisattva who has got Wu Gong Yong Hang, right? He's got effortless practices. So we've been looking at that. And self-mastery is nothing bosses you around except your vows and your practices. So here's what I thought about. What is freedom? What is real freedom? And we talked last week about obstacles, right? Remember obstructions? We had the 4 kinds of obstructions. We had afflictions, karma, retribution, and then
Pastor, we don't
knowledge.
see what you are typing.
You say again, Jerry?
I don't think we see what you are typing.
Oh my goodness.
We do
Okay.
see freedom, free and easy and comfortable.
You can see that, huh?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll tell you what, this is frustrating. Let's put the notes aside. There we go. I'd much rather look at all of you anyway. Okay. So the question is, last week we talked about obstructions. And there's a traditional list of 3 and 4 things that obstruct us. So the question is, what is freedom? And to understand freedom from a Buddhist point of view, you have to look at its opposite, its absence. So what is holding me back? And the one answer would be everything. If you start looking at it that way, where's freedom at all? Because, you know, if I'm holding up a wooden fish and dropping it like this, I say 100 times out of 100, it's going to land in my left palm. You can wait for the fish to go up, but the law of physics, gravity, is going to make it go down. You may decide that you are free to drive on the other side of the paint stripe on the freeway, and you'll go a little ways, but then you're going to collide with a car coming the opposite direction and no longer free. So civil law, in other words, holds you back. And then as the Buddha, the prince, discovered, he thought he was completely free. His father tried to make him zizai in the palace, but what he discovered was that old age, sickness, and death were going to take him down. And so freedom to die is no freedom at all. What's free about choosing when you die? You know, nothing. So, in other words, from the Buddhist point of view, the great jail is our body. When our body comes to an end, when lifespan comes to an end, that's pretty much the end of your freedom. And in between, you might be sick and you might be old, so your freedom is limited. Where's the freedom at all, he would say, from the Buddhist point of view? And we have to be careful as we explain this, because why? It can sound really depressing. It can sound, gee, you Buddhists only talk about suffering all the time, 24/7. So, yeah, but more accurately, it's real. It's not depressed, it's not negative, it's not pessimistic, it's real. The Buddha's looking at it like it really is. And we get temporary freedom by going shopping. We're free to choose between MasterCharge or Visa or Diners Club or American Express or PayPal. That's a lot of freedom, right? We're free to buy any stock we want and then discover that the market dropped 1,000 points. So where's the freedom? If the freedom is to choose between Toyota and Honda, Ford and Chevy, that's within a deeper construct where we are enslaved to the marketplace. And once you buy it and then you're locked into time payments, you're even less free than you were before you touched that web of consumer capitalism. So, no freedom at all. Until the prince went out into the woods, cultivated for 6 years, and discovered his answer to what is actually free, which is to say, what? Completely free. Free to, take a look again, here it is. He was free with regards to his body that he gets, his ming, his life, his lifespan, his thoughts, his wealth, karma, rebirth, vows, understanding, wishes, wisdom, and dharma. That's freedom from the Buddhist point of view. Okay, real tsudzai. And further, because he gets these 10 kinds of tsudzai, he has a new name. This is he's got a new level, a new criteria by which he's judged. Zi wei, he is what? Bu si yi zhi zhe. He has wisdom you can't imagine. Inconceivable wisdom. He's got wisdom that has no way to measure. He's got wisdom that is vast. And he's got wisdom that is completely unchanging. You can't break it. You can't destroy it. You can't diminish it. It's indestructible. Okay, that's his new name. That's the new state of the Buddha. Pretty cool. Okay. Now, we're going to move away from wisdom and see what else happens to him with this accomplishment. Having got wisdom like this, the sutra is now going to put him into a context. The Buddha is going to say what happens as a result of the wisdom. Ready? This is our last passage today. Here we go. 此菩萨如是入矣，如是成就矣， 得必经无过失身业，无过失语业，无过失意业，身与意业随智慧行，般若波罗蜜增上，大悲为首，方便善巧，善能分别，善气大愿，佛力所护，佛力所护，常勤修习，利众生之普助无边识别世界。All right.
First, we are not seeing your the sutra
Taking a
text.
step. You're not seeing the sutra now?
The sutra text.
Yeah. A little louder, Jerry. Can't hear you.
We were not seeing the sutra text. We only see your desktop background.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Try again.
Are you sharing just the documents or sharing the whole screen?
I'm sharing the same document that we've had before. It's the preview. Can you see it now? Let's see. Eyeglasses, FaceTime, just a window. You'll open that.
Okay, we see us.
Let's see if I stop showing screen, what happens?
We see we see your.
Can you see anything at all?
Yeah, we see the document on the lower right. Yes.
My control panel says not showing anything. Okay, I'm getting different information than you are, apparently. That's very funny. And here, I think our problem is that we've got a projector hooked up. And the projector, so I'm operating two screens somehow. What is that? Start or pause sharing your screen, only enabled when you are the presenter. What about that now? Oops. Can you see my screen now?
We see the same thing as before. The sutra text, English sutra text is on the lower right quarter.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what I'll do is I'll work with what I have and then we'll put it away and talk. Okay, it says the Bodhisattva masters this wisdom and has these accomplishments. And so then he's prepared to teach on the 8th stage. And he gets something. He gets flawless body, mouth, and mind karma. So he doesn't make mistakes. Think about that. Furthermore, the things he does with his body, the words he speaks, and the thoughts in his mind operate according to his wisdom. So the wisdom in turn is guided by this new transformation of consciousness. And prajna paramita increases. Notice how the 6th paramita has popped up here. As somehow it's on a separate track. Prajna paramita is really the Bodhisattva's primary accomplishment. Okay? It's Shifu would always say, Arhats operate according to the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Solitary Buddhas operate according to the 12 links of conditioned arising. When you get to Bodhisattvas, the paramitas are this is the water they swim in. This is their main tool. And here, prajna, number 6, is increasing. Notice it's not accomplished yet. There's more to go. So we only have 2 more stages, and yet prajna paramita is not full yet. So that gives you a sense of how important this particular aspect of your nature is. He makes great compassion foremost. He's skilled in expedient means, I'll say. He's good at discerning, and he's skillful in bringing forth great vows. The Buddha's power protects him, and he always diligently cultivates wisdom that helps sentient beings. That's what he's about. He resides everywhere in boundlessly many different world systems. Think about that. When I'm negotiating my Australian visa, trying to work hard to satisfy the requirements, and it's tricky. There are rules, there are laws, and every time I cross the border into Australia, the computer ding, and it logs me in, and it knows exactly how many days I've been in Australia before I go back to California, back and forth. So just to cross a boundary like this is a big deal. Immigration and who's the alien and who's the resident and all. So here's a bodhisattva who resides everywhere in many different world systems. Inconceivable, right? So this is not talking about somebody else, somewhere else. It's talking about my mind and your mind when cultivated to this level. How about that? Very cool. So just to review, we looked at Zidzai, freedom. This bodhisattva is totally free, really free. What rules, what laws govern this bodhisattva now? You could say compassion. He will not do anything to offend, to harm any living being. His vows govern him, and those are set up long ago, and they're each different. Everybody has different vows. So those are the laws, but they're voluntary. They're not imposed from above by some policeman, by some, penal authority. Some, armed force tells the bodhisattva what to do. So, okay, and this is the review. Now, next week, we're going to pretty much get to the summary. There's going to be a similar kind of wrap-up that happens in each chapter. Talks about, there's an analogy of gold. The bodhisattva is like gold that's been smelted and more pure. There's a story about which of the various Deva realms the bodhisattva is born in. So when I read that, it was like, but we're talking about this bodhisattva's ability with bodies, and yet he still comes back in a heaven? Yes. Bodhisattvas on the 10 grounds physically reside in heavens and then go out to do all the bodhisattva things they do. So we'll hear about that. We're going to get a summary of everything we've read about and learned about in verse form. We go through these very interesting verses for the 8th ground. And then we move on to the 9th ground, which is, if this is amazing, the 9th ground is even more amazing. My goodness. Okay, so let me ask, since we've been having some issues with trying to figure out which desktop is working, can you see the webcam right now? Alan, Jerry, can you all? Yes, it's good.
Webcam has always been working. But
okay, so you can see both me and yourselves?
Yes. They do not interfere.
Okay, great.
They do not interfere with your desktop.
Okay, great. Let me show you my bird. Here's a nice bird. This is a parrot.
We only see the
called
document.
A king parrot.
We're not seeing the bird.
You're not seeing the bird.
Well, we
Oh, I
see
wish you could see the bird.
we see
Okay.
a bird on the upper right corner, the icon of the hard drive, I guess.
Okay, something's goofy here. We'll have to work this out before next week. This is frustrating. Okay, I won't, you don't get to see my king parrot. I'm sorry. So we've got the kookaburra family has moved on to another part of the forest here, another part of the bush, and they've been replaced by king parrots. And king parrots are these large, very happy. If you've imagined a parrot, maybe you've lived with a parrot. These are that kind of parrot. They're really big. They're bigger than about the same size as a seagull, big, and brilliantly colored. And there's a family of 3 of them, and they live right behind my cabin on the hillside. And 3 years ago, when I first started seeing them, they would come like once a month, and you kind of catch this. If they caught sight of you, they're gone. They wouldn't hang around. They were really shy. But after 3 years and abundant servings of parrot food, they're okay with the monks now. They hang out. And if I'm sitting on the deck and typing or reading, the parrot's very happy to sit beside you there. And now the husband and wife come, and I'm trying to learn who is who. Apparently there are 2 males and 1 female. And they're spectacular. When you see them, everybody goes, oh, look at that, because they're brilliant orange red. And the female has a green upper feathers and then orange below. So they've been hanging out, and I've got pictures, and we'll try to figure out who's looking at what by next week so we can show you pictures of king parrots. Wanted to share some plans that are coming up. In March, Jinwei Shi and I, the last 2 weeks of March, Jinwei Shi, who is sitting right there patiently, Jinwei Shi and I are going to go to Hangzhou, China, a brief trip, not long, not like our delegation to Europe, but we're going to do a quick trip over to China, to Hangzhou, because the monastery called Lingyansi, which is in Hangzhou, is for 10 years, they've been having what they call a Jiangfa Jiaoliu Hui. We called it before a Dharma speaking competition, and that's not accurate. It's not really a competition. It's a exchange. It's a training to encourage young monks in China to learn to speak the Dharma better than they do already. And after 10 years of doing this, they now have decided to open an English language class. And so I'm involved in presenting the English language Dharma speaking class for promising young Dharma speakers from all over China. So there's going to be, I don't know how many, maybe I'm guessing there might be 100 or so bright young talents from all over who've applied to come to Lingyansi. And I get to talk about speaking Dharma, and Jinwei Shi will also be there talking as well. And what we're going to have, we're just in the beginning stages of negotiating the calendar and all. But what would be fun, what occurred to me is if it's possible and the dates coincide, I would like to give this Saturday night lecture from Hangzhou, just the way I'm giving it from Gold Coast right now. A lot of conditions have to be in place before that can happen. But wouldn't it be fun if instead of the Samantabhadra Bodhisattva behind me, you got to see images from Lingyansi and all of the young monks listening. So what's interesting to me is that Buddhism in China has progressed to the point where they're asking for English language Dharma education. You know, there's apparently enough English-enabled Buddhists who want to hear the Dharma in China that they're asking for English language instruction. So either that or the monks are being trained to go out of China. Maybe they're going to go Hawaii you're going to go overseas to speak Dharma. Either way, I'm really delighted and honored to be asked, because it's the first time they've opened this 培训班, 英语佛法培训班, and that's nice. Of course, it'll be an opportunity to share Master Hua's approach to the sutras, to hearing the Buddha's voice. And I get to say all the things that I say to all of you, like, we don't necessarily depend on the commentaries. Commentaries are helpful, but we can use our own wisdom to directly hear the Buddha's voice and use that as a mirror. So closing the gap between me and the sutra, that's Shifu's Dharma, and I'm happy to share that in China. One of the, I'm going to prepare a syllabus before we get there, but one of the things that I need answered before I'll know how it works is, are they preparing to speak to an Asian English language audience, or are they planning to speak to Westerners? Because if you're a Chinese Buddhist monk, a Buddhist monk from China, lecturing to, let's say, a room full of French Buddhist lay people, or let's say you're in Hong Kong and you're lecturing to English-speaking college students in Hong Kong, or maybe you're down in Sydney and your audience is a bunch of Aussies. It's different. And my job as the trainer of English Dharma speakers, English language Dharma, would be to also give these Chinese monks a sense of what are the expectations of an English language audience, or let's say a Western educated audience, versus a Chinese audience or a traditional audience, or an audience of, Pure Land devotees in Shanghai who want to nian fo, wang sheng, xi fang, So that would be, I need to find out what they're actually hoping for. But it's, it's really a challenging and really attractive idea to think about what are the important things that I could share for Chinese monks who have decided that that Buddha Dharma has a life outside of the boundaries of China. That's what we're talking about, right? In the past, oh my goodness, China was Tianxia, right? It was all under heaven. And you talked about Sihai Zhenei, inside the four seas. So for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, China was Sinocentric. We're in the center. Nobody else really matters much because nobody did, The barbarians came in from the north, they came in from the south, and they all paid homage to the emperor. He was the son of heaven, Tianzi, and everybody bowed, and if you were wise, and sure enough, well, the Mongols came in, they became Chinese. The Manchurians came in, they became Chinese. The British came in, and their gunboats defeated everybody with their opium and their Bibles. So that was the first time that the Chinese had ever been humbled. That was in the 19th century. Okay, so now is a time when China is with the current president, the premier, and going overseas a lot and representing China to the world. So China has become global, and in terms of Dharma, it's now needing to speak global Dharma. So that's a really interesting concept of how things are changing. And so Shifu made the prediction that the Buddha Dharma would go from the West back to the East. And that includes India, of course. And so back to the source of Buddhism, but China, Vietnam, and certainly Taiwan is a Buddhist land to begin with. There are 10 million Buddhists in Taiwan, but that's about half the population. So maybe there's something more significant than we know about this invitation for myself and Heng Sure to go back and teach Dharma speaking in English to Chinese Buddhist monks. That's a very interesting idea. So we don't know all the details yet, and we're in the process of, looking at schedules and such, but we'll report more back to everybody when we find out more. And I don't think I'll take my guitar. I think I'll leave guitar playing behind this trip, probably. That's the 200 level course, right? That's English Dharma Speaking 2.0, is you need a banjo or maybe we could use the guqin, right? Use your guqin to speak, but that wouldn't be for a Western audience. Probably leave the guitar at home, I think. So, do we have to play guitar if we teach English Dharma? No, you don't. No. So, Alan, question? Did you raise your hand? Sam?
Good, actually.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Guitar,
Good. Yeah.
that would be the chance for the memory.
Question, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I said, no, bring the guitar.
I'm sorry, a little louder, please.
Yeah, Faster can bring the guitar. Yeah, that would be very good. Because when we do the chants for the memory, we do that in English, in guitar. That's pretty profound. That's the new Western Dharma instrument.
That's Western Dharma. Thank you for that endorsement, Alan. I appreciate that. Okay. How about a banjo? Maybe the banjo. Okay. Any comments or questions? Sam and Cliff here have just reminded me that the last 2 weeks, somebody has asked me about sitting in full lotus, and I've said, okay, I'll talk about that later, and I never do. Is Jerry, is that questioner still online? Did they come back this week, or did they give up because I wouldn't answer the question? You remember?
Let me see. I'm not sure. Yeah, the question is not being brought up.
Not
but
sure.
I'm not sure if the listener is still online. Not sure if the person
Okay.
asked a question.
So what I remember. Go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, not sure if the person asked the questions is online this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how about if I answer it anyway, just for form, right? Just to keep good faith. It's a delayed answer. Okay, you asked the question weeks ago, and it takes time to get on the internet down to Australia. So, okay, so full lotus, is it necessary? Was the question, and what about it? If you look at our bodhisattva here, can't quite see the leg. Bodhisattva sitting in full lotus. There's our Buddha, Vairochana, sitting in full lotus. And if you look at Master Hua's photo, which should be there on the altar, sitting in full lotus, can all of you turn around and look behind the men's side? I'm looking over the head of the men's side at the wall behind you there. Can you turn around right behind you there? The women maybe can see it. There's the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. Everybody knows John Pho. John Pho had that painted in Vietnam on a postcard. He was traveling to Vietnam about 10 years ago, maybe more. And he had a beautiful little painting of the Buddha seated beneath the Bodhi tree near the riverbank. And he gave it to an artist and said, make it big. And in Vietnam, this artist, or was he a photo finisher, blew it up to that, canvas, huge, full size, beautiful picture of the Buddha sitting in full lotus. Okay, that's the way the Chinese Mahayana, the Vietnamese Mahayana represents it. If you go to Thailand, you have to look hard to find anybody, any image in full lotus. The Buddhas in Thailand sit half lotus, which is to say one leg up. I'm currently sitting in full lotus, and I was trained by a Chan master who, Shifu's way of presenting meditation was he would say, cross your legs, don't uncross them. That was it. No quarter, no mercy, right? He was really firm on the necessity of full lotus. And we young Westerners who showed up at Gold Mountain, that was what you do. Dharma Master Heng Sure, who was one of the first 5 to leave home in America, got that training and tells people, sit in full up, cross your legs, she'll say. To our college students, right? Cross your legs. And they're like, you know. And I've had people in that room in the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery on a Wednesday night Chan class say, excuse me, Reverend, American bodies don't bend like that. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Well, what about me? You know, I'm a corn-fed Ohioan. So, yeah. Now, since then, teaching meditation around the world, I've discovered that, yeah, there are bodies that don't seem capable at the start of sitting in full lotus. I've never met anybody who, once they set their mind on learning to stretch, was unable to sit in full lotus. Nobody. So it's just a question of what you're used to and willpower. And then learning how to stretch. Now, our resident yoga master, Fabrizio, came back from Buddha Root Farm last year. We had agreed to begin a class on yoga stretching for full lotus. I don't remember whether that actually came into being. Jinwei Shi, did that actually happen? Was there a specific class for learning how to stretch for full lotus?
We had class led by Fabrizio, I think a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, few of them, but for now Fabrizio traveling in India, so we will see when we'll.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was, I think, twice a week he offered the class for everyone.
Okay, thank you. So we have addressed the issue, which is what? If your body is not used to stretching that way, for example, if you've always sat on a chair or a sofa or a car seat, you're not used to sitting on the floor. Full lotus is best on a big flat surface, not a chair. Chairs make it harder because you're kind of perched up on this little narrow thing and there's the back. Ideally, when you're sitting in full lotus, your back is not touching anything. So, in other words, to the questioner, is it necessary? Depending on who you ask, it depends on what you want. The ideal in the Chinese Mahayana are bodhisattvas and Buddhas. The ideal in the Theravada is the Arhat, and their Buddha images, their role models are in half lotus. Now, is there a conclusion there? I haven't heard anybody say that if you sit in half lotus, you can't be a Buddha or a bodhisattva. I haven't heard anybody say that the posture you assume leads to the result you get, but there might be something to that, maybe. You could look into it. In any case, the Chan school almost always says sit in full lotus. And did you all remember the movie One Mind? We showed that last year, Ted Berger's film, where the cameras went into Zhenru Si on Yunjushan, Cloud Dwelling Mountain in Zhejiang province, Jiangxi province, right? Jiangxi province. The monks in the Chan hall at Zhenru Si, oh my gosh, they put a blanket down they took their robes and tucked them under their legs and then pulled the blanket up over the legs. They were not planning to drop their legs until the bell rang. It was clear that, like, to drop your legs was going to be hard because they're all wrapped up. They were in full lotus and didn't plan to move. So those are kind of, that's the varsity meditation team at Zhenrusi. If you live in the Chan Hall at Zhenrusi, you're the Marines of meditation. You're sitting hard, right? And you sit right through the pain in your legs. So what do you do when your legs hurt? A lot of Master Hua's teaching on Chan has to do with patience. You endure it. You be patient. No pain, no gain really applies to Chan meditation. So the answer to your question, when you ask me, you're asking a monk who was trained in the Chinese Chan tradition. And our standard is sitting in full lotus until you absolutely can't. Drop your leg, figure out how long was it. Was it 20 minutes? And then you add a minute. Next week, I'm going to sit for 21 minutes. Next month, I'll be sitting for 24 minutes. By Christmas time, I'll be sitting for half an hour, right? And so forth and so forth. Bit by bit, you build up. And you get to where full lotus becomes joyful. When I meditate any other way, it doesn't feel right. Full lotus to me is the foundation that lines my body up correctly in a geometrical triangular pyramidal shape, right? With a square looking from above and a circle looking from the side and a pyramid looking from the front. And it's grounded and very kind of everything plugs in correctly when you sit in full lotus. So that's my experience, and I share that with you. Encourage you to try it. Practice some yoga to loosen up those bigger joints and enjoy meditation. You will become zizai, effortless self-mastery, through full lotus. That's why you do it. Not because you're a masochist and you like pain. That's not it. Because you want to become Ming zizai, Zhi zizai, Cai zizai, Ru yi zizai, right? You want to have effortless self-mastery in all aspects of your life. Okay, time is up. Jinwei Shi, let's hear about our events coming up, any announcements. And then, now I'm going to open Nicest Writer with my dedication of merit. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. We've had trouble with our documents here. So if you have the songbook in front of you,
After
the announcements, we're going to do that.
So no problem.
Have you got them? Okay. Yep. Please open the back page. You'll have dedication of merit. And more important than having the lyrics is having a vow, a practice, a wish that you're going to dedicate it to. Then the dedication of merit starts to work in the real world. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's do the dedication first and then the announcements, all right? So everybody find your dedication of merit. Make a wish in your heart, sharing the goodness to the devas, that they make Buddha's vows, Bodhisattva's vows, to beings in the 6 destinies, that the bodies that they obtain be painless, pain-free, and zizai. Okay, here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May it be so. Okay, Jinwei Shi, what have you got for us today?
Yes. So Dharmaster, so today we have the cleaning day. So the monastery shine through, and the team put a lot of effort, and looks everything really good. All the altars and the parking lot is prepared for the celebration of Chinese New Year. And in the morning we do also repentance practice, so hopefully also we shine in our mind hearts. And
There we go.
yeah, so today was really a team effort to do this cleaning, what I mentioned. So it was kind of preparation for the Chinese New Year, and the actual celebration was gonna happen in February 16th, what is Friday, and we start with 8:30 a.m. with a recitation of mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, and after the recitation, like usual in Saturdays, we'll have the lunch offered for everyone, and next day, Saturday, we'll continue the practice of Om Mani Padme Hum, and we start at 9 a.m. And it will be actually almost whole day recitation until 4. It was the request, and we will do it. So until 4 p.m. will be recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum with lunch, and this is our plan for Chinese Year of the Dog, if I'm not mistaken. So this is our version of welcoming of Chinese New Year. And all the classes are started already. Yesterday, Professor Marty Verhoeven gave the first Sixth Patriarch class after the break. And everything back to normal, I can say, after the winter break. So you can check it out, all information about the classes in our website, which is berkeleymonastery.org. Or you can ask me directly if you're looking for any particular questions. So also another important announcement is that what's going to happen in Ukiah. So we will have the special guests. It's Bhikkhu Bodhi, and the monk, really respected and one of the most influential translator of Pali Canon. So he will come and start teaching in the 5 weeks course of Abhidharma, what is called of the kind of Buddhist psychology or Buddhist early philosophy. So it's a really rare opportunity to spend this 5 weeks with one of the most prominent teachers in the West now. And this is the part of the kind of retreat or practices, living in the practice program. So if anyone wants to stay, and at the City of 10,000 Buddhas takes all these classes with Bhikkhu Bodhi and other classes and taste of life in the monastery, this is the time. So
okay. Jinwei, sure. How do people sign up for that?
We have the website, is drbux.org, and so please check in this. Maybe we can give this description in the YouTube as well and put the link. So if anyone have interest, but please don't wait so long, because I think many people want to attend for these classes. Bhikkhu Bodhi. And we have information here.
That was DRBX.
Yes, DRBUX.
DRBUX.org, right?
Right.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, thank you for that. The Chinese New Year's, Lunar New Year's, also Vietnamese New Year's, Tet, is a big deal around the world. So many of my Chinese friends have gone home or are going home to be with family. That's really important at this time. So the other thing, from the Buddhist lens, from the Buddhist calendar, Lunar New Year's is the celebration of Maitreya Bodhisattva. So next week's sutra lecture, I'm going to add some references to Maitreya Bodhisattva. We've got some songs and stories about the old fool, Da Zhuo, and the true vision of Maitreya Bodhisattva, who beyond the fat monk, okay, beyond the happy monk. So, Budai Heshang, or Hote in Japanese. We're going to go look past the stereotype into the lore, the legends of Maitreya from the Avatamsaka Sutra. So that's coming up. Okay, I'm going to ask Jinwei Shi to help us bow, and this will conclude today's lecture. Sorry about the issues with the documents. We'll get sorted out before next week. Okay, have a week full of blessings and wisdom. Ami Tofo, everybody. Bye-bye.